We're gonna get started with wiring the speakers. Here we have the tools that I've used. We have a glue gun, heat gun. They call it a heat gun, but it's more like a pen. I like this one because you can hold it like this. And we need a razor blade so we can cut through the insulation. We need a pair of cutters and another pair of pliers just to help us get the insulation off. We have here the butt connectors. These are marine grade with heat shrink. So we're gonna crimp this size and we're gonna heat this side up and it's gonna melt and plus glue the ends. We also have a crimper, ratcheting, makes everything a lot easier and faster. And we have a pair of wire strippers. I recommend these. We're gonna use them, put the wire in there, squeeze, and it strips the wires, no problem. This is the second amp that I'm wiring up. I already ran the line to the first speaker. And what I did is I left this enough cable where it's gonna reach into my potted plant. I was thinking of spiking it like this, but to be honest with you, it stands out. It's more obvious. Inside a potted plant, if it's a shrub, it hides the speaker better. And part of the system is for people not to see the speaker. Of course, every home is different, but I have a lot of potted plants and I could put these inside a potted plant. So let's get started with seeing how we're gonna do this. Okay, the first part is to just make sure you have the wire where you want it, in the middle. And now remember, this is coming from the amplifier. Then we're gonna wire it in to the first speaker. And then it has to go back out, all four wires has to go back out all the way up to the next speaker or sub, whichever is next on your line. And it's very important that you understand this. It's just not wiring these two speakers and then the next one, because that would be in series. This is in parallel. So all four wires have to go from the in to the out to the next speaker, all four wires. Okay. So the next part, the way I've been doing it, is that we're gonna go ahead and just cut the insulation around. You have to cut this without cutting completely through the insulation, so you gotta be very careful. The other way you can do it is that you can just cut the wire, splice all four cables, and then move on to the next one using the heat shrink tubing. But since I only need two for that speaker, I'm just gonna cut through and just strip two of the wires and let the other one run through. So let's get started here. We're gonna just go ahead and do a slight cut around it. I'm just scoring it. I'm not cutting deep into it. If you bend the wire, you can see where your cut line is. See it right there? So I'm barely cutting through it. But as long as you score it, it will come apart. Okay, that's one side done here. Now I gotta do another side over here. It's best if you cut too little, not as deep. It's all right. You're not trying to cut through it. He's just trying to score it. Okay, so I did that. Next, we're gonna score it along this way. Long way, from here to here. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and get the blade. Remember, you don't wanna dig deep into this. You just wanna score it. I'm just scoring it. I'm applying light pressure. Right there. All right, so now this is where I get my pliers, and I have a little screwdriver just in case I need to help me with this. So now we're gonna go ahead and see if we can find an area where it just started opening, like right there. See it? Well, here's an area where it's split through the jacket, not all the way, but, and then we just wanna see if we can get it. Just need to get this started. We want to get to that line. See that line right there? Keep hitting the stand here. You might see a little shake. Okay. It's hard to do this and look at the camera, make sure it's in the frame. Okay, so of course you want to be careful with the cables. Okay, let me help it out a little bit here. Now this does have a paper or some kind of fabric protection around it. Screw these pliers. Keep hitting that, it keeps shaking. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, so right here, see, right there's where we scored it. Right there. So if you notice that when you start unpeeling it, it actually peels off rather easily. This is where we scored it. There's the score line. See, it's following it. So right there's the score line. Score line I did. And you can tell there's like a, it's like kind of fabric. It's not really thick, but it's there. And it does help protect a little bit. So when you're scoring this, you see white. So you don't want to overdo it. This is pretty thick material, but you don't want to dig too deep in there. Okay, so let's see if we can finish this up. Okay, I'm gonna have to help this over here a little bit, cut it a little bit more. It's better for you to repeat this step many times over than for you to go too deep. But like I said, if you want to use more connectors, you can always just use more connectors. I love to challenge myself, so Can I do this job without using 100 connectors? Let's see. Yeah, keep hitting the camera. Let's see, we're almost there. It's kind of difficult while you're filming and you're trying to do something tedious like this and making sure you guys can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, so squirt it around and then it comes off. See it? That's what we want right there. So when we look at it, it's this cable. I'm going to wrap this cable up. This is going to lead up to the potted plant. So let's see, this fabric comes off. And it's not too hard. You can do it by hand. Now, the most important thing is that you don't want to cut through. You don't want to cut through and cut in the insulation. Because believe it or not, if you have one little cut in any of this insulation here from the main wires, then you're going to get moisture in there. It's going to start corroding this line. So if you think this is going to be difficult, what I recommend is just going to cut all 4 lines. You're going to strip it, put the butt connectors on all 4 lines. Since this is going to be right channel, now the way I've done it, I dug it in there so I could test it. The way I did it is I labeled everything, so there's no confusion. This is right channel, and this is amp 2. I recommend you do this, label everything, that way you know where everything goes. Now the right channel is going to use the red and black wire, red and black. So every right channel on this amp is going to be red and black. This is easy because this is red and black. Now every left channel is going to be green and white. Now the white one is going to be the positive on the left channel, and the green one is going to be the negative on the left channel. Now the one we're doing, it's a lot easier to remember because red is positive and black is negative, similar to a car. As long as you get those 2 wires wired at the amp properly, it should be okay. Now the way you lay these out is that you're going to have a right channel followed by a left channel, then a right channel, a left channel, right, left. You always want to go right, left as you go down your line.